Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today we are going to discuss the classification and properties of enzymes. In the early days, enzymes were given the names after their discoverer who discovered them in a traditional way. And for example, the names pepsin, trypsin, chymotrypsin convey no information about the function of enzyme, what this enzyme will act and which substrate it will utilize or act on, and what will be the nature of the substrate on which this enzyme will act. But these enzyme name like pepsin, trypsin, and chymotrypsin, these were like trivial names or traditional, and they were given in the very haphazard manner. And sometimes the suffix "ase" was added to the substrate for naming the enzyme. The enzyme will act on the wish substrate, and the name of the enzyme will be followed from the name of the substrate, like lipase act on the lipids, nuclease enzyme will act on the nucleic acid, and lactase enzyme acting on the substrate, which is lactose. And these names are known as the trial names of these enzymes. However, it failed to give complete information of the enzyme reaction, that what will be the type of the reaction which enzyme will be catalyzing. Like it may be oxidation reaction, reduction reaction, it may be the hydrolysis of a certain bond, it may be the connection between the two functional groups. And therefore these such type of the name, they give none of these informations, like what will be the type of the reaction on which the enzyme will act, and if there is any requirement for the cofactor for the activity of the enzyme. And enzymes are sometimes considered under the two broad categories, and these two broad categories are the intercellular enzymes and the extracellular enzymes. Intracellular means they are the functional enzymes within the cell, and where they are synthesized. In fact, the enzymes are synthesized inside the cells, and these enzymes act on the substrate or catalyze certain type of the reaction while they are still inside the cell. While in case of extracellular enzymes, they are active outside of the cell. It means that we synthesize it and it will be expelled out, or it will become out of the cell, and therefore it will be the functional. And therefore these enzymes are active outside of the cell, and example are the all digestive enzymes belong to this group of enzyme, which is extracellular enzymes. And here is the comparison between the intra and the extracellular enzymes. And intracellular enzymes, they are more difficult to isolate if we want to isolate from the cell, because they are the part of the cell, they will be functional inside the cell, and they want to retain inside of cell. Therefore they are difficult to isolate, whereas the extracellular enzyme, they are easier to isolate from the cell. And these intracellular enzymes, the cells have to be broken apart to release them. It means that if we want to extract these enzyme from the cell, we have to break down these cells. But in case of extracellular enzyme, there is no need to break down these cells. And these enzyme, in fact, are secreted in large amounts into the medium which is surrounding the cell. It means that outside of the cell, these enzymes are present, and therefore there is no need to rupture, damage, or break down the cells. And they have to be separated out from the cell debris, and a mixture of many enzymes and their chemicals. Therefore, they have to be separated out from the cell debris, and a mixture of many enzyme will be present, because these enzyme, intracellular enzyme, are getting in a sense or in a way that many cell parts or the debris or the cell, you can say the material which we don't want, may also be the part of that extract. Therefore, a mixture of many enzymes may be present there, and certain chemicals may also be prevailing there. Therefore, the step for the extraction of such type of intracellular enzyme, this is difficult one. And extracellular enzyme, often they are secreted on its on or on their own, like by the default behavior, or with very few other very few other enzymes are also maybe present here. It means that the, you can say, the area where the extracellular enzymes are present, they may be present the pure form, or certain one, two, three such type of the enzyme may be present in their vicinity. And often these intracellular enzymes, they are stable only in the environment, inside intact cell. It means that once they are getting out or extracting out of the cell, they may lose their stability or the function. But for the extracellular enzyme, because there is no need to rupture the cell, therefore these enzymes are stable one outside the cell, and they may be get or obtained from the cell surrounding in a very good way. And therefore, for intracellular enzyme, the purification step or the downstreaming process, these all are difficult and expensive. And for the extracellular enzyme, this purification or the downstreaming process, or getting or purifying the enzyme or obtaining the process, are these are quite cheaper or the easier one. Next is IUB, the International Union of Biochemistry, stands as IUB, abbreviated as IUB, and it appointed an enzyme commission in 1961 to solve these problems which are facing in the classification or understanding of enzymes. Therefore, this committee made a thorough study of existing enzyme. It means that the enzyme which were existing at that time, like in 1961, and what the work or the agenda of this committee was to devise or clear out the way by which enzyme may be classified into certain categories, and therefore they devise some basic principle for the classification and the nomenclature of enzymes. And since 1964, the IUB system of enzyme classification has been in a force. And enzymes are, according to it, divided into six major classes. And the order of this classification is important, because this order will give the name of enzyme to the enzyme in a way that one, two, three, and so on up to six. And these numbers are important because they will be kept intact, and further there will be no changes. If I or you will say that I am working on enzyme like EC 1.111, it means that These all numbers are important, and we can't you can say mix them or haphazardly place them. And each class on its own represent the general type of the reaction brought about by these enzyme class. Like first of all, this classification, we will discuss one by one these six classes. First is the oxidoreductases, and like the alcohol dehydrogenase is under its category, and enzyme commission, EC stands for enzyme commission, and number is 111. It means that the main class is 1, and the rest of them are the subclasses. And for this enzyme class like oxidoreductases, their main function is the oxidation reduction reaction. Like if AH2 is the substrate, and B also one second one, and therefore they will do the uh, oxidation of the A in a such a way that hydrogen will be make the part of the B. It means that B will be reduced and A will be the oxidized. It means that they will carry out the oxidation reduction reaction. Next class is the transferases. Transferases means they are responsible for the transfer of the group. Like enzymes are hexokinase, and in many metabolic pathways, we have discussed the enzyme hexokinase, transaminases, and transmethylases, and phosphorylase enzyme. And like if compound or the substrate is AX, and there is certain group, and therefore X will be removed, and it will be attached with the B, therefore A will be released as such, and therefore in this way the group will be the transfer group will be the X. And next is the hydrolases, like the lipases, and they cause the hydrolysis of the bond like AB, and there is bond between them, and one water molecule is added up, then this bond will be breakdown will lies, and therefore hydrogen will be attached with the A, yield AH and BOH. Therefore it will carry out the hydrolysis of compound A overall, and it pairs the bond between A and B. Next is lyases. For example, aldolase, and the responsibility for this enzyme is the addition and elimination. If AB plus XY reacts together, then B will be released, and similarly XY bond will also be broken down. Therefore the exchange type of the reaction will be occur. It means that addition will be occur, and also the elimination of certain group will be taking place in the you can say reaction in which the lyases enzymes are taking part. And we have also seen the reactions of the aldolase enzyme and the fumarase. And next are the isomerases. Isomerases mean they are responsible for the interconversion of isomer, change one isomer to the another one. And important enzyme are the ketoisomerases, and the another enzyme is the phosphohexose isomerase. And therefore like A will be converted into A prime. And ligases, they are responsible for carrying out the condensation reaction. Like if A plus B are two independent reactants, therefore they react with one another to give AB. overall complete product, and they are depending on the energy supply, and this energy supply is in the form of ATP. Here is the complete description of these six classes of the enzymes. Oxidoreductases, these enzymes involved in oxidation reduction reaction. Transferases, these enzymes are responsible for catalyzing the transfer of functional group. Hydrolases, they are involved in the or bringing the hydrolysis of the various compounds. And lyases, these enzymes are specialized in the addition or the removal of small molecules like water, ammonia, carbon dioxide. And isomerase, these are the enzymes involved in the isomerization reaction, conversion of one isomer into another one. And next is the ligases. These enzymes catalyze the synthetic reactions. They are responsible for the binding, like where the two molecules are joined together, and for their union, the energy is utilized in the form of ATP. Next is the word OTLIL, which is used as the word to memorize these six classes. And these alphabets are placed in the order in which there is appearance of these six classes, like first is pseudo reductases and so on, and each class in turn is subdivided into many subclasses, and these many subclasses are further divided, and therefore a four digit enzyme commission EC number is assigned to each enzyme, which is representing the number first digit is representing the class, then subclass, then sub, and last is the individual enzyme, fourth digit for the individual enzyme. And each enzyme is given a specific name, which is indicating the substrate, coenzyme if involved, if enzyme need the coenzyme, and the type of the reaction which enzyme is catalyzing it. It means that for the enzyme, uh, these all factors are important. What type of the substrate is present in the metabolic system on which the enzyme is acting, if there is need of any coenzyme or cofactor, and what type of chemistry or the chemical reaction which is going to be takes place in the presence of the enzyme. And although the IUB names for the enzymes are specific, it means that if one name is called as 1.1.2.3, it means that this number or the sequence of number may not be allotted to the any other enzyme, and therefore this numbering, or you can say the classification, makes a very clarity among the enzymes, and also it cut down or clear the many you can say uh, errors or conflicted things about the enzyme, and they have not been accepted for the general use as they are complex and cumbersome to remember. And overall, the whatsoever or whensoever the enzyme is utilized or taking place, taking its part in the metabolic reaction, they are generally represented or you can say right as written as the their own name, like hexoses, thiolase, isomerase, phosphofructokinase, and so on. And therefore, the trivial names, along with the enzyme commission numbers, as and when needed, are commonly used, and this numbering is widely accepted. And if you came across any research article, and if certain enzyme is involved in the research work, then you will see that there they must represent, or they must notify the enzyme from where it will be extracted or taken, or and also they give the enzyme commission number or specify that enzyme. It means that overall specification of enzyme is also given where, whenever there is working on the enzyme or the enzymology. Next are the chemical nature and the properties of the enzyme. And because all enzymes are proteinous in nature, therefore, all enzymes are here the written as word, the invariably proteins. Their backbone, or the by inherited, or the you can say by default, they are proteinous in nature. And in recent year, however, a few RNase molecules have also been shown to function as the enzyme. It means that along with the DNA, or along with you can say the uh, such type of the enzymes, some RNA molecules may also exhibit the enzymatic functions. And RNA and DNA, these are the different, uh, having different chemistry and nucleotide sequences and nitrogenous bases, but the enzymes and the proteins are the different one. But we have seen that some RNA molecules are capable of acting as the enzyme. It means that they also show the enzymatic function, but they are not the proteinous molecule. And each enzyme has its own tertiary structure and specific conformation, which is very essential for its catalytic activity. And if there is any change in the tertiary structure of the enzyme or enzyme conformation, it will lead to the changes in the active site, and therefore the overall enzyme may not be act as the catalyst. And the functional unit of enzyme is known as the holoenzyme, which is often made up of apoenzyme, which is the protein part of enzyme, and coenzyme, which is non-proteinous organic part. But in some cases, this coenzyme is very important one, because without it, enzyme can't display its function. Like here is shown the holoenzyme. It consists of apoenzyme part and the coenzyme part. These two parts make it as the holoenzyme. And due to these two parts, protein and non-proteinous part, overall enzyme show the enzymatic activity, catalytic activity, or overall enzyme is active one. And here you can see in the diagram, apoenzyme is the lower bigger part, coenzyme is placed on it, and this is the catalytic side or the active side, and cofactor may also be attached on the apoenzyme, and overall it constitutes the active part or the active enzyme configuration and pronounced as holoenzyme. And next is the term prosthetic group is used when the non-protein moiety which was attached to the apoenzyme, but its binding with the apoenzyme is very stronger one. Therefore, it build the covalent linkages. Therefore, this tightly bonding or the covalently binding of the non-protein part with the apoenzyme, it's constituted as the prosthetic group. And number next is the word monomeric enzyme is used if enzyme is made up of only a one polypeptide chain. It means that many peptide bonds are present in there, many amino acid sequences are there, but it consists of only one polypeptide chain, single polypeptide, like ribonuclease, trypsin, and some of the enzyme which possesses more than one polypeptide chain, or you can say polypeptide subunits, they are known as the oligomers, like lactate dehydrogenase, LDH. It's very well known enzyme, and in later lectures we will also discuss what's the LDH. And there are certain multi-enzyme complexes possessing specific sites to catalyze different reaction, but these reactions occurs in a sequence. It means that first reaction will occur, then second, and so on. Multiple reactions may be catalyzed by them, and therefore they are called the multi-enzyme complex. And only the native intact multi-enzyme complex is functionally active, and not the individual unit. It means that individual unit will not cause any or will not display any catalytic activity unless or until all these units are collected together or placed in an intact fashion. It means that if these subunits are separated, the enzyme will lose its activity. For example, the pyruvate dehydrogenase, fatty acid synthase. We have also discussed fatty acid synthase in very, uh, you can say, comprehensive way. Therefore, from here we can conclude that some enzymes may be present in the form of single polypeptide units, and many are present as the oligomeric form or the consisting of more than one polypeptide chain. Next are the properties of the enzyme. Enzyme exhibit all the general properties of the proteins, and their common chemical properties are the amino acids are most of the reaction of the amino acids are mostly due to the presence of two functional groups like carboxylic acid group and the amino group which are present in them. It means that some of the reaction of the amino acid may be due to the carboxylic acid group and second one may be due to the amino group. And first are the reaction due to the carboxylic acid group, like amino acid form salt with bases if sodium hydroxide is present here, and ester like if alcohol is present in the, you can say, metabolic reaction, or these reaction may also be taking place in the in vitro, you can say, work. And decarboxylation means the removal of carbon dioxide, and amino acid undergo the decarboxylation. Carbon dioxide is removed, and therefore due to the removal of carbon dioxide, the amino acid will lose its identity, and therefore they will change into their corresponding amines. And this reaction assumes significance in the living cells due to the formation of many biological important amines. It means that in the living cell or in the in vivo studies, such type of decarboxylation are important because they are responsible for the production or synthesis of the amines inside of cells. And these include like histamine, trans, tyramine, and J-amino butyric acid GABA from the amino acid like histidine, tyrosine, glutamate, respectively. Like first example is quoted for you. Histamine is the amine which is produced in the cell from the amino acid histidine. And how this occurs by the removal of the terminal carboxylic acid group in the form of carbon dioxide. Therefore, the by the removal of carboxylic acid group or this carbon unit in the form of carbon dioxide, it will yield the amine which is the histamine inside of cell. Number next is reaction with the ammonia and carboxylic acid group of the dicarboxylic acid amino acid. It means that such type of amino acids which have two carboxylic acid groups, and one of this carboxylic acid group react with ammonia to form amide. Like first example is quoted for you, aspartic acid. It consists of two carboxylic acid group, and it will react with the ammonia to give the asparagine, and asparagine is the, you can say, the amide bearing group. The OH group, you can say, which was the terminal on the left side, it was replaced by the amino group, and therefore such type of the reaction with the ammonia occurs, and there is these reactions are responsible for yielding the amides, and therefore glutamic acid reacts with ammonia to give the glutamine. Number next are the reaction due to the amino group, and the amino group, it due this amino group is behaves as the base, and it combine with acid like HCl to form the salt like ammonium chloride, and reaction with the ninhydrin is due to the presence of NH2 group. The amino acid react with the ninhydrin to form a purple, blue, or the pink colored complex. And ninhydrin reaction is effectively used for the quantitative determination of amino acid and proteins. It means that if amino acid or the protein is present in the sample, then ninhydrin reaction is responsible for building up a colored compound or the complex. Uh, if the concentration of this or the intensity or the hue of this complex is very large or dark, it means that large amount of amino acids are, or in fact the protein is present in the sample. Like amino acid first reaction, amino acid reacts with the ninhydrin to give the keto acid, releases ammonia and carbon dioxide, and the hydrogen dentin is formed, and this hydrogen dentin react with further ammonia and the ninhydrin to yield the purplish color, and therefore this complex is responsible for measuring the concentration of the amino acid present in the sample, and therefore this reaction is due to the presence of the amino group. It's all about for today's lecture, and for assignment you have to prepare how you will draw the reaction for the how you will draw the sequence or the mechanism for the reaction of the amino acid with the ninhydrin. You have to pick up certain amino acid, draw the ninhydrin formula, and therefore show the reaction where these two will react to give the colored complex. Best wishes and Allah Hafiz, students.